We begin India First with a big India First exclusive. The army is all set to place a huge order for 200 K-9 Vajra self-propelled tracked artillery howitzers at a cost of a massive 10,000 crore rupees. Now, this is the single largest order to be placed with a domestic arms manufacturer as part of Atmanirbhar Bharat push, and comes at a time when the Indian Army is deployed extensively, not just along the line of control, but also extensively along the line of actual control from eastern Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh. Now, the 155 mm tracked howitzer K-9 Vajra weighs about 50 tons. It's a tracked howitzer. It's said to be state-of-the-art and can effectively destroy a target up to 50 kilometers away. Now, Larsen and Toubro have delivered 100 K-9 Vajra acquired and built in partnership with South Korea. The initial order for 100 howitzers was approximately 4,500 crore rupees. Now, this was a deal that was inked in 2017, and the 100th howitzer was delivered in 2021. Joining me on this big India Today exclusive is India Today magazine's managing editor Sandeep Unnithan. Also with me is our executive editor Shiv Arur. Sandeep, you broke the story. Bring us details. Given the situation along the LAC and the LC, these howitzers are much needed. But by when, Sandeep, is this deal expected to be inked, and when do deliveries begin?
Well, Gaurav, we are looking at a deal that could be signed as early as the middle of this year. And the reason being that this is a follow-on order. And we've already had 100 of these guns delivered by Larsen and Toubro ahead of schedule, which is very rare for a defense contract. Last year, the 100th gun was delivered, and ever since the line has been idle. And given the developments in the northern and eastern borders with China, there was a huge shortfall in firepower. The army urgently requires, mobile firepower of the kind that the K-9 Vajra brings to the table, and it deployed 3 of these guns on a trial basis to eastern Ladakh last year. They were very happy with the results, and that explains the reason for this very large order of 200 howitzers. It's unusual, Gaurav, because usually follow-on orders are not, in excess of the original order. The original order was about 100 howitzers. The army has really, bet its money. They've bet big time on the K-9 Vajra. They're very impressed with its qualities, the fact that it's mobile, it's a heavy gun, can fire out to 50 kilometers, exactly what it needs to address its shortfalls along the northern and eastern borders with China, Gaurav.
Stay with me. Let me also bring in Shiv Arur into this conversation. Shiv, artillery modernization had suffered for decades in the backdrop of the Bofors scandal. Now it appears, of course, we got the M777 light howitzers from the United States. It now appears that the effort is to make up for lost time.
This repeat order that the Indian Army is about to issue to private sector giant Larsen and Toubro for 200 K-9 Vajra T, tracked howitzer guns is the single biggest Make in India contract that is ever going to be issued, and it is a huge cause for for celebration. It needs to be welcomed because as you know, large-scale weapons contracts have usually been to either foreign companies in this country or to the government sector, the PSUs, which have industrialized weapons manufacture. So a large contract of this kind, especially a repeat order for double the number of guns that were originally contracted for, is a huge thing. And Gaurav, the K-9 Vajra T howitzers, the self-propelled howitzers, are actually a Korean machine that has been licensed, built by L&T in Gujarat. These weapon systems have been deployed successfully in Ladakh. They've been found to be extremely useful, potent weapon systems, weapons platforms over there. And that's the reason why the Indian Army has moved really, really fast to quickly place orders for 200 more. It keeps the production line warm. It establishes belief in a private sector production line here in the country, and is an affirmation in many ways of Make in India. Atmanirbhar Bharat Bharat has been, a rallying cry for the defense forces for a long time, with nothing really to show for it. There has been very little by way of actual meaningful Atmanirbhar Bharat when it comes to defense. But with this huge, many thousands of crores going into a contract for 200 more guns of this kind is going to be something that's welcomed across the defense industrial establishment in the country. A big win for the private sector and a big win for the Indian Army.
Sandeep, these 155 howitzers in high altitude, you and Shiv have been reporting on the extreme weather, whether it's in Ladakh or in Arunachal Pradesh, perhaps even Sikkim. But what about quality control and timelines?
Well, Gaurav, the fact that these guns were delivered last year, the company, Larsen Toubro, worked through the lockdowns and pandemics, 2 waves of the pandemics. They delivered the 100th gun ahead of schedule. That itself tells you that, they're good to go for this huge order of 200 guns. And in fact, all of these guns, we're being told, can be delivered as early as 2025, which is, these are incredible timelines, Gaurav. And, the army is looking at a scenario where it cannot get, it needs literally hundreds of new howitzers.
Oh, absolutely.
And this K-9 Vajra offers it the shortest possible timeline in which to, acquire them and push them up, into the northern and eastern borders where there are huge gaps in firepower. But the interesting thing, Gaurav, is that the K-9 Vajra is a South Korean design. It was originally designed for the South Korean army. And, the conditions that they operate in, it's, they're high altitudes, extreme cold weather conditions. So this would be a natural fit. But the interesting part again is that we acquired the K-9 Vajra for the deserts and semi-deserts and plains of India, not for the high altitude. So in a sense, we've had to actually operate these engines, modernize them for operating in high altitude,
in
which
fact,
is not such a stretch because
that's the question I was coming to, Sandeep.
It's designed for South Korea. It's designed for cold climates, very, minus 20 and minus 30 degrees. So it's a natural fit for the kind of conditions that we envisage deploying them in northern and along the northern and eastern borders.
Okay, but the fact that they need to be deployed and perhaps for a long time to come, whether it's high altitude in Sikkim, 17,000 odd feet, or in eastern Ladakh, 15,000 plus, what all modifications do they require for this one extreme altitude, weather and terrain, especially the engine and systems on board? Sandeep.
Oh, well, Gaurav, the main modernization has to be in the engine pack. The engine that operates, the tank engine, the self-propelled gun engine that operates at the high altitudes of Ladakh, is very different from what it would be, say, on the deserts and on the plains. And that is what the manufacturer plans to do with the next batch of Vajras. And there have been some trials. There have been very successful trials. They're going to be, they're going to modify this engine to operate at those high altitudes. The range tables have to be altered, Gaurav, because again, the way an artillery shell travels at high altitudes in the rarefied air is very different from the way it fires on the plains and in the deserts. And that modernization, I'm told, has already happened. They're very successful. They've worked in the field. L&T engineers have worked in the field. And this is the beauty, Gaurav, of a Make in India system. The system may have been designed by the South Koreans, but it's been mastered by L&T. And the fact that you have the source codes for all of the electronics on board, the fire control computers, allows you to modernize those guns while in the field. And that is the big thing
absolutely.
that literally opened the Army's eyes to this huge indigenous capability. And it's a huge statement for Atmanirbhar Bharat. The fact that when you design your own equipment, you produce them within the country, you own the source codes, then you can actually, modify it, you can upgrade it, you can, play with it, if you can
and
call
look
it
at
that.
the timeline, 2017. 2017 deal inked, 2021 100-gun delivered. Now you're saying by 2025 they would be in a position to deliver the remaining 200 if and when that order is placed as quickly as possible. Again, a big statement. Make in India, you can make the volumes that you require, and they are required as far as artillery modernization is concerned. Shiv and Sandeep for joining me here on India First. Many thanks.
Thanks a lot.